My name is Alex. I'm an architect in my early 40s living in Los Angeles. I've been married to Sarah for 15 years. We met in our 20s at a friend's party, and it was one of those whirlwind romances that everyone dreams about. Sarah was beautiful, intelligent, and passionate about her career as a graphic designer. Our life together was everything I had ever wanted, until it wasn't. Our marriage started showing cracks about 2 years ago. At first it was small things, missed date nights, late nights at the office, and a general sense of disconnect. I thought it was just the stress of our demanding jobs. I was working on a big project that could make or break my career, and Sarah was taking on more clients than ever before. We were both busy, and our relationship took a back seat. One evening, Sarah came home late again. I was sitting in the living room, nursing a drink and trying to unwind from a long day. When she walked in, I could tell something was off. She looked distracted, her mind somewhere else. "Hey, how was your day?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Busy," she replied, dropping her bag by the door. "I'm exhausted." She walked over to the kitchen to grab a glass of water. I watched her, noting the way she avoided looking at me directly. "Anything interesting happen?" I probed. "Not really, just the usual client meetings and deadlines," she said, but there was a slight hesitation in her voice. I didn't press further. We had been through this routine too many times. I figured she would tell me if something was wrong, but as the days went by, her behavior grew more erratic. She started taking phone calls in the other room, her laughter echoing through the walls. She spent more time on her appearance before leaving for work, and she was often texting late into the night. One Saturday, while she was out running errands, I decided to clean up the house. As I was tidying the bedroom, I found a receipt from a high-end lingerie store tucked away in her nightstand. I stared at it, a knot forming in my stomach. Sarah hadn't worn anything new or particularly sexy for me in months. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, but the doubt lingered. The following week, I decided to leave work early and surprise her. I drove by her office, expecting to see her car in the parking lot, but it wasn't there. I called her, and she answered on the second ring. "Hey, where are you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Oh, just grabbing a coffee," she said. "I needed a break from the office." "Which cafe?" I asked casually. There was a slight pause. The one on 3rd Street." I knew she was lying. There was no cafe on 3rd Street. My heart pounded as I drove around looking for her car. I finally spotted it parked outside a small boutique hotel. I pulled over, my hands shaking. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My wife, the woman I had trusted and loved for years, was inside a hotel in the middle of the day. I sat in my car for what felt like hours, waiting for her to come out. When she finally did, she wasn't alone. A man followed her out, and they walked to his car together, laughing and talking closely. My blood boiled as I watched them drive away. I felt a mixture of rage, hurt, and disbelief. I had to know who this man was and what was going on between them. Over the next few days, I did some digging. I found out his name was Jason, a client she had been working with for the past few months. He was successful, charming, and apparently very interested in my wife. I confronted Sarah that night, unable to keep my anger bottled up any longer. "Who is Jason?" I asked bluntly as we sat down for dinner. She froze, her fork halfway to her mouth. "What do you mean?" "I saw you with him," I said, my voice cold. "Outside the hotel." Her face paled and she put down her fork. "Alex, it's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I demanded, my temper flaring. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're having an affair." Dear viewers, more than 90% watch my content without subscribing. If you still have not subscribed, then I ask you to do so. For me, this is the best motivation to continue. She looked down, tears welling up in her eyes. "We've been having problems for a while," she said softly. "I didn't know how to talk to you about it. He was just someone I could talk to." "And sleep with?" I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "It wasn't like that," she insisted. "We haven't slept together. But I won't lie, Alex. There were feelings involved." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. "How could you do this to me? To us?" "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never meant to hurt you." The days that followed were a blur. We fought. We cried. and we tried to make sense of what had happened. Sarah admitted that she had developed feelings for Jason, but she swore that they had never crossed the line into a physical affair. She said she wanted to work on our marriage, that she still loved me, and was willing to do whatever it took to fix things. I was torn. Part of me wanted to kick her out and never see her again. The other part of me still loved her and wanted to believe that we could get through this. We decided to try counseling, hoping that a professional could help us navigate the mess we had made of our marriage. Our first session was awkward and painful. The therapist, Dr. Reed, asked us to talk about our feelings and what had led us to this point. Sarah confessed that she had felt neglected and lonely, that my long hours at work had made her feel like I didn't care about her anymore. I admitted that I had become too focused on my career and had taken her for granted. Dr. Reed gave us exercises to do at home, ways to communicate better and reconnect. We started spending more time together, going on dates, and talking about our hopes and fears. It wasn't easy, and there were times when I wanted to give up. But slowly, things began to improve. Sarah ended all contact with Jason, which was a huge relief. We deleted his number from her phone, and she blocked him on social media. It was a small step, but it showed me that she was serious about rebuilding our relationship. One evening, as we sat on the couch, watching a movie, Sarah turned to me and said, "Thank you for giving us another chance." I looked at her, the woman I had loved for so many years, and felt a sense of hope. "I'm glad we're trying," I replied. "I still love you, Sarah." "I love you too," she said, leaning in for a kiss. Our journey wasn't over, but we were on the right path. We continued therapy, both individually and as a couple. We worked hard to rebuild our relationship brick by brick. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. We learned to appreciate each other again, to prioritize our marriage and make time for each other. Years later, as I look back on that tumultuous time, I realize it taught me valuable lessons about love, forgiveness, and resilience. Betrayal is devastating, but it doesn't have to be the end. With hard work, honesty, and a willingness to heal, even the deepest wounds can be mended. Sarah and I are not the same people we were before the affair. We are wiser, more aware of each other's needs, and more committed to our relationship. It took a long time, but we found our way back to each other. And for that, I am grateful every day. Life slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy, though the scars of betrayal were still there, hidden beneath the surface. Our relationship had changed irrevocably, but it also had new depth. We were more open with each other, more honest about our needs and fears. The wounds were healing, though the process was slow and painful. One day, I came home early from work and found Sarah sitting at the dining table, a pile of papers spread out before her. She looked up as I walked in, her eyes brightening. "Hey, you're home early." "Yeah, thought I'd surprise you," I said, walking over to her. "What are you working on?" "Just some design concepts for a new client," she replied. "But I can take a break. How was your day?" "Busy," I said, pulling up a chair. "But good. I've been thinking about taking some time off once this project is done. Maybe we could go on a trip, just the two of us." Her face lit up. "That sounds amazing. Where do you want to go?" "I was thinking somewhere quiet, where we can just relax and spend time together. Maybe a cabin in the mountains or a beach house." "I'd love that," she said, reaching out to take my hand. "It's been so long since we've had a real vacation." The idea of a getaway gave us something to look forward to. A chance to reconnect away from the stresses of work and daily life. We started planning, looking at different destinations and talking about what we wanted to do. It felt good to have a shared goal, something positive to focus on. A few weeks later, we packed our bags and headed to a small cabin in the mountains. It was secluded, surrounded by towering trees and a crystal-clear lake. The air was fresh and crisp, and the peacefulness of the place was a balm to our weary souls. We spent our days hiking, fishing, and exploring the area. At night, we would sit by the fireplace, talking and reminiscing about the good times we had shared. It was during one of these quiet evenings that Sarah brought up the topic we had both been avoiding. "Alex, do you think you'll ever be able to fully trust me again?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I stared into the flickering flames, considering her question. "I don't know," I admitted. "Trust is something that's built over time. It's not something that can be restored overnight." "I understand." she said, looking down at her hands. I just want you to know that I'm committed to doing whatever it takes to make things right. I know you are, I said, reaching out to touch her cheek. And I'm committed to rebuilding our marriage. It's just going to take time. She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. Thank you for being patient with me. We sat in silence for a while, the only sound the crackling of the fire. Despite the pain and uncertainty, I felt a sense of hope. We were moving forward, slowly but surely. When we returned to Los Angeles, things continued to improve. We kept up with our therapy sessions and made a conscious effort to prioritize our relationship. We went on more dates, took long walks together, and found new hobbies to enjoy as a couple. It wasn't always easy, and there were still moments of doubt and insecurity, but we faced them together. One night, as we lay in bed, Sarah turned to me and said, I've been thinking about something. What is it? I asked, curious. I want us to renew our vows, she said, her voice filled with emotion. I want to reaffirm our commitment to each other and to our marriage. The idea took me by surprise, but the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. I think that's a great idea, I said, smiling at her. Let's do it. We started planning a small ceremony, inviting only our closest friends and family. It was a chance to celebrate how far we had come and to look forward to the future. The day of the ceremony was beautiful, with clear skies and warm sunshine. As we stood before our loved ones, repeating our vows, I felt a renewed sense of love and commitment. It was a new beginning for us, a chance to start fresh. Dear viewers, I ask you to subscribe to the channel under this video. I will be very grateful to you. The years passed, and life continued to throw challenges our way, but we faced them together. Our marriage was stronger than ever, built on a foundation of honesty, trust, and mutual respect. We had learned to communicate better, to be more patient and understanding with each other. Looking back, I realized that the affair was a turning point in our relationship. It forced us to confront our issues and to work through them together. It wasn't easy, and there were times when I thought we wouldn't make it, but we did. We came out on the other side stronger and more in love than ever. Sarah and I now run a small business together, combining her design skills with my architectural expertise. It's been a rewarding experience, allowing us to spend more time together and to pursue our passions. We've also become advocates for couples going through similar struggles, sharing our story and offering support to those in need. One day, as we were walking along the beach, Sarah turned to me and said, I'm so grateful for you, Alex, for everything we've been through and for everything we have now. I'm grateful for you too, I replied, squeezing her hand. We've come a long way, haven't we? Yes, we have, she said, smiling, and I wouldn't have it any other way. As we watched the waves crashing against the shore, I felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. Our journey had been difficult, but it had also brought us closer together. We had faced our demons and come out stronger on the other side, and for that, I was truly grateful. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm for us. Sarah and I continued to grow together, both personally and professionally. Our business thrived, and we found fulfillment in our work and in each other. We made a conscious effort to keep our relationship strong, setting aside time for each other amidst our busy schedules. Occasionally, the memory of Sarah's affair would resurface, like a shadow lingering in the corners of our minds. We had both made mistakes, but we had also learned from them. Trust had been shattered, but through hard work and commitment, we had rebuilt it, one small step at a time. One evening, over dinner at our favorite restaurant, Sarah looked at me with a thoughtful expression. Do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't worked through everything? She asked quietly. I paused, considering her question. Sometimes, I admitted. I think about how close we came to losing each other, but I'm grateful that we found our way back. I am too, she said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. I never want to take us for granted again. We continued to cherish our moments together, celebrating milestones and creating new memories. Our love had deepened over the years, tempered by the challenges we had faced and overcome. We supported each other through thick and thin, knowing that we were stronger together than apart. One day, Sarah surprised me with a trip to Paris for our anniversary. It was a city we had always dreamed of visiting together, and she had planned every detail with care. We strolled along the Seine, visited art galleries, and enjoyed leisurely meals at quaint bistros. It was a magical time, a chance to reconnect and reaffirm our love for each other. As we stood before the Eiffel Tower, bathed in the soft glow of its lights, Sarah turned to me with tears in her eyes. "Thank you for never giving up on us," she said softly. "I could never give up on you," I replied, pulling her into a tight embrace. "You're my everything, Sarah." We spent the rest of our trip exploring the city, savoring each moment as if it were our last. Paris became a symbol of our love, a place where we had reaffirmed our commitment to each other and to our future together. Back home in Los Angeles, life continued to unfold. We faced new challenges and celebrated new successes, always with a sense of gratitude for the love and resilience that had brought us through the darkest times. Our journey had been marked by pain and heartache, but it had also been filled with moments of joy and growth. Years passed, and we grew older together, our bond stronger than ever. We supported each other through health scares, career changes, and the ups and downs of life. Our love had weathered the storms, standing firm against the tests of time. One evening, as we sat on our porch watching the sunset, Sarah turned to me with a smile. "Do you remember when we first met?" she asked softly. "Of course," I replied, taking her hand in mine. "It feels like a lifetime ago." "It does," she agreed, "but I'm grateful for every moment we've shared since then." "As am I," said, leaning in to kiss her forehead. "I wouldn't change a thing." And as we sat there, surrounded by the warmth of our love and the beauty of the setting sun, I knew that we had found our happily ever after. Our journey had been a tumultuous one, filled with twists and turns, but it had led us here, to this moment of peace and contentment.